Hello, everybody. My name is Vera,
I'm Mira.
and together we're Doulas on Bikes. And thank you for joining this session. Today, we're going to talk about a few tips on how to be an Enviro parent. Did I say it right?
Enviro Parent.
You could say eco parent too. The idea is not to change your whole life to become somebody who in an instant has zero garbage to get rid of, or has a child who never has any waste, or give up your car. It's not about all that. We understand it's 2021 and everybody has a life to live, and conveniences are here to make our life better. What we are saying is that you can take small steps, maybe just a couple of things that you can incorporate and start to slowly reduce your impact on the environment. That's why we have lots of different tips to give you so that you can pick and choose which one works for you and what level you want to take it to. This is really not an all or nothing game. Start where you are and make one change will make a really big difference, don't you think?
They all lead to other changes, and then your kids are going to grow up watching you make small changes, take small steps that lead to bigger steps, and they're going to be starting from such an easier place, right? Some of us are coming from generations where waste reduction wasn't a huge priority in the home, and so we have to work that much harder to unlearn so many of the habits that we grew up with. But if our kids never grow up with some of those wasteful habits, then they're going to be starting in a much better place.
Yes. And especially when you become a parent, garbage and stuff can overwhelm you. No matter how big or small your space is, you can easily fill whatever amount of room you have if you're not diligent about what you bring in and what goes out.
And I believe that waste reduction, when it comes to parenting, can be attached to four main kind of categories of reduction. And I'm going to go through each of those four. And if one of them speaks to you, give it a try. If one of them sounds completely unattainable, maybe leave that one for last. Maybe you'll work your way up, or maybe it'll never work for you. But if you pick any one of these things and work on it, you're going to make a huge impact on your carbon footprint that your family is creating. So the first and probably biggest is your baby's waste and how you manage that waste. So 95% of North American families choose disposable diapers. You can hear that plastic.
It's a real old school kind.
It's a real old school kind.
That's all. See that shine?
But really, even the more modern ones that might be a little softer on the outside, it's the same components. It's made of the same stuff. So the thing with this is that it's a single-use plastic, right? We're banning straws, we're carrying water bottles with us, we're reducing our single-use plastics when we can. This is a huge one because your kid's going to go through upwards of a dozen a day in the early days and weeks of their life, and we'll go through a couple of years worth of these. So when you add that up, it's thousands of diapers that your baby will go through before they're using the toilet, and that's a single-use plastic. The materials used are not great for the planet, extracting those resources.
Oh, wait a second. What are those materials? We don't know. Those are trade secrets. It's on your baby's skin, but
24/7.
But the companies have trade secrets, so they don't have to tell you. And some of the stuff is for convenience. They have this yellow line that turns blue. How does that happen? We don't know. Trade secret.
Trade secret, but it's in there. And we do know some of the things in here. And we do know that they're not great, both for the planet and for your baby's body, their skin. Our skin is our largest organ, so we do absorb things through it. It does affect our bodies internally, so not knowing what's in here is a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
It's a bummer. We pay attention to everything that goes on or in our babies' bodies, and we want to know. But if you knew, you might be like, I mean, do it when you have to. We're not trying to make anybody feel bad, but just know what some alternatives are.
And even just one, if you replace one of your baby's diapers a day with a cloth diaper, which look how fancy they get nowadays. Again, that's already hundreds, right? If your baby's in diapers for 2 years, that's 700 diapers, just one, over 700 diapers, just one a day, reducing. So think about it. If you live in a big city or close to a big city, you likely have access to a service where they'll do everything for you, or you can buy them and do it yourself. It's really not that bad. Let me tell you a secret. You're going to get poop on you.
Yeah.
If you are a parent.
Yeah, babies are poopy.
You're going to get poop on you. But like this, garbage. Like this, happy planet. So cloth diapers, it's probably the biggest change you can make. If you're only going to pick one thing and you're like, I refuse to do anything but one thing, pick cloth diapering.
It's kind of expensive though. Is it expensive, Nita?
You know what? It's not. These are expensive because you buy it and there's zero other uses for it. You buy it, you use it, you throw it in the garbage.
And they're actually not that cheap. I was looking at some prices. A box of Pampers is like $35.
You got to get them on sale.
You got to get them on sale, but even then, the higher end ones are more expensive for sure.
Well, and then guess what happens? It goes on sale. You buy a couple boxes, your baby grows up. Now you've bought double diapers because now they don't fit that sale brand anymore. And now you're giving those away while buying another box that they need. Whereas these super adjustable, right? Most of these will fit a baby anywhere from 7 pounds to 35 pounds. Some of these more adjustable ones. Look at how adjustable this one is. This can get down for a teeny tiny little baby or big for a toddler walking around. So, think about it. If you're spending $50 on a box of diapers, you buy about 2 boxes at least a month, I'd say $100 a month. You're going to spend maybe $300-400 on a stash that's going to last you the whole time that your kid is using diapers. And then if you take good care of them, you can sell them to somebody like me because I only bought secondhand diapers. So there's resale value.
And if you don't want to spend that upfront $300, you can buy them from resale.
Exactly.
If you're crafty, you could be buying ones that are super cheap or free, and then you repair them because there's some ways that you can improve upon elastics, snaps, get new inserts. If they're not, you can weatherize them again too, depending on the material.
Yeah.
So you can bring new life to things. That's definitely one way as a parent to not create more garbage is don't throw it out yet. See if it has new life. If not for you, maybe for somebody else.
Exactly. So to answer your question, actually it's less expensive. And I realize that comes from a place of privilege to have that money up front to start off. But if you're looking at secondhand places, it's not, you can find a few diapers just to start off and build your stash as you go.
And I know the next concern people have about cloth is washing. And if you don't have a washing machine, there's so many resources. We're going to send you some links. For anybody who's interested can message us. We have some resources that go along with this workshop, but links to websites that will help you learn how to wash your diapers with the machine or without a machine. It can be done. So it's not just this whole, it's a privilege thing.
Yes,
it is and it isn't. It can be very bougie if you want it to be, and it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. And if you go with the service, the average cloth diaper service is about $20 to $30 a week. So if you compare that to disposables, it's the same. So make the change if you can. One a day,
one a day,
or a few a day.
65 a year.
Use them when you're home. Use disposables when you're out. Make a small change where you can, and it's going to lead to more. Because guess what? Once you start using these, you don't love these. These lead to blowouts. You don't get blowouts with these.
You kind of get comfortable with whatever you start with too.
Exactly. Start from the beginning. These lead to lots of diaper rash. Not a lot of diaper rash with these. There are lots of benefits actually, which can make this easier. We just haven't been shown how easy it can be. It can be easy.
The other thing too that I like to put out there, especially because we're talking about eco-parenting and not just about replacing one product with another, but let's say you don't want to buy any of these. You're like doing your disposable and you're like, I'm not even going to have one. Have one time a day where your baby is diaper free. Put down a thick towel. If you're in a place where it's warm outside, if you have some private space, go nudie time, but have 1 or 2 times. I know it sounds like it's messy, but it's not necessarily very messy. There's other good reasons why your child might not always want to be defecating with it right pressed up against them, but that's a whole nother workshop. But as far as like reducing waste, again, if that's 1 or 2 diapers a day that you're saving over the course of a year, that could be, 300 to 700 diapers. Adds up quickly.
So quickly, especially in the newborn phase. Their pee is like a spoonful.
It's tiny
Little bladders.
Anyway, what else?
Okay, so that's diapers. So that's number 1. Category number 1, diapers. Please consider it. Category number 2, stuff in general.
Stuff. Oh my gosh, baby stuff.
If you ask 5 parents what was the thing they couldn't live without, what's going to be the common answer?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. That's what's common, is everyone's going to tell you a different thing that was the must-have newborn item that you couldn't have possibly lived without.
One will say it was the dock thing where my baby slept.
One of them will say it was the warmer, wipe warmer. No, you gotta warm it and everything up.
Another will say it was the surveillance camera on the baby.
Until they hear a strange voice coming out of it.
So
everyone's gonna have a different item, okay? It all just adds up to stuff. Lots of it's plastic, most of it's plastic, right? Because we don't want to use harsh materials around babies. Metal and glass seems dangerous. So everything's made of plastic nowadays. Don't love that already. A lot of people, we get weird about baby stuff. We think that everything needs to be brand new. Guess what? Your baby doesn't know if it's new. And second thing, actually, it's nice to have things that are secondhand, because then chemicals, all of sort of like the factory sort of smell, residue,
off-gassing, it's already off of the materials. When it comes to clothing, or cotton is one of our highest pesticide crops because we don't ingest it. So if you're not able to buy organic cotton, which, I mean,
who can afford organic cotton?
Can't afford organic cotton all the time, you're better off to get items that have been washed several times, because the pesticides have been more likely to have been washed away from the clothing, and they're nice and soft, and babies don't wear out their clothes anyway. By the time your kid's 4, yeah, good luck getting a hand-me-down pair of pants.
Still possible. I just bought secondhand everything for my kids for this winter.
Well, that's because we're overbuying and over shopping, and our kids, you will find that you have more things than your kids can even wear. They will outgrow it. It will be seasonally incorrect.
Grandparents are going to buy more than you need. You're going to be begging grandparents to stop bringing stuff over. So truly, you would be shocked. Walk into a secondhand store or secondhand children's store. Everything looks brand new. Especially if it's consignment, because people are saving their nicest stuff for consignment. You don't need to perpetuate the market of making more baby stuff. It's a lot of stuff. And, you know, another tip for not going out and buying stuff is wait until you actually need it. We are not living in a world of like, it takes 6 weeks to get something for most order from things. The catalog and wait to
the Sears catalog or something, right?
Mailing your order. No, you know, if you're somewhere remote, if you're on your own and you don't have someone who could run in, fine, you're going to want to be a little bit more prepared. If you're in the city and you're partnered, or you have family helping, or you have some support person in your life that can run out and get the things that you need, that's such a great tip, Vera.
Yeah.
Wait until you need it. Because maybe, you know, your must-have item, you're not going to know what that is until you need it. Have conveniences that make your life a little easier, absolutely. But if it can be secondhand, that is going to make a really, really big difference for your carbon footprint as a parent. Is just not buying new things for your kid. They're going to use it for a small window of time. And if you do buy new, or if you receive new as a gift, please consider passing it along. This is a circle, the secondhand. We'd like you to look into secondhand. We'd also like you to pass along your things when you're done with them. Because reducing stuff, you want to hear a fun number? We could cease to make baby clothes for 10 years. And every baby born, taking into account exponential population growth, would have clothes on their back. That's what an excess we're living in of baby stuff, and especially baby clothes. So please secondhand, please pass things around your friends. You know, if you've got friends, you know, with different children ages, just keep the passing train going around and around. Because even if you're going to have another kid, pass it to someone with a baby and say, hey, pass it on back around when you're done, because it'll be back to me for baby too. And just keep things moving around. Things don't need to sit.
They really don't. We're not talking just clothes too. We're talking about those little baby sleeper snuggly things. They don't expire, right? Like the bouncy chairs, the food chairs. The carriers are very expensive. You know, like we have this preciousness about newness for baby stuff that doesn't have to be there. Facebook Marketplace is a great place for that. I'm not trying to advertise for them. But there's buy nothing groups, there are parenting groups, there are places you can buy and sell. And a lot of times you can get good tips on what people's opinions are. What did you think about this one? And then someone's like, hey, I'll just give it to you. How many times do people just give stuff for free on Facebook? I mean, you probably will too as a parent, because you get overwhelmed with stuff.
So much stuff.
So less stuff, wait to see what you need. Let people gift you things too. Everyone's got stuff to give away.
And you know, the last thing I want to add to this, don't be afraid to ask for secondhand things from your friends and family. I had a baby shower and at the top of the invite said, preference is for secondhand pre-loved items, which was great, because then friends of mine weren't I have friends with babies who, why would they feel like they have to go out and buy me something? Bring me a garbage bag full of all your old baby socks and I am thrilled. So please don't be afraid to involve your family and friends in this. You can have a shower and be celebrated, and it doesn't have to result in piles and mountains of things that you may or may not need, may or may not be made of plastic.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing cloth diapers, you can put that on your registry, or if you're doing a service, most services will even have a registry function where your friends and family can call and have some money attached to an account with your name on it.
That's right. For the, you know, the aunt and uncle who's like, secondhand stuff, that's absurd. I don't want to do that. Great. Have a service.
Yes.
Give them the place you like to order food from. Get a doula. We have a registry on our website. So have them go into services instead of blankets. I was recently with a family whose baby's name was really super cute. So everybody thought, oh, that's so cute to put on a blanket. By the time they got the 10th blanket with the child's name on it, it wasn't as exciting. You want your gift to be exciting, right? So tell them what you want and need.
Yes.
So
that'll help us help.
So that's about stuff. That's number 2.
Number
3, Mira.
Number 3, body feeding. And this is a controversial topic because we're not here to tell everyone that body feeding is what's right for them. You know, it's a choice that every new parent gets to make. And if it's not for you, if you thought it was for you, but you're suffering, we're not here for anybody suffering. But if you're on the fence, please consider giving it a try. And why it is Enviro Parenting is because guess what? Your body doesn't make garbage. And artificial milk makes a lot of garbage.
It's just an actual, like, we're actually talking about like the cap, the label, the packaging over the packaging, the box that's on top of all of it, you know, like just all of the manufacturing, the creation of it. So we're not talking about the actual food that saves babies' lives when they need intervention and they need to drink milk. Please, that's not what we're talking about.
Not what I'm talking about.
Actual
garbage. When you're feeding your baby from your body, there's nothing to throw out at the end of the meal. If you're feeding your baby artificial milk, there will be something to throw out at some point in time in the feeding of your baby. So in addition to that garbage, again, we go back to just like the diapers, there are transportation costs to the planet, there's resource extraction, right? Most artificial milks are dairy, and dairy is not a friend to the planet. Cows in general, in the way that we use our agriculture, especially in relation to large livestock, it's not great for the planet. So in general, bodies make less garbage than processed food, because when it comes down to it, it's a processed food versus homemade. It doesn't get a whole lot more homemade than inside your body. What did you call it once? The original organic food.
It's the original organic food. And it doesn't necessarily happen like magic overnight, easy. No. So please, if you are, you know, having a baby and like Mira says, kind of on the fence about it, even if you're not on the fence about it, even if you know, okay, I'm going to feed from my body, get support, get help, you know, hire a lactation consultant, see somebody prenatally, do a preparatory class. Again, we do a preparatory class, which just helps you know what you're getting into.
Creating a realistic plan. There are free resources as well that can help you out, monthly peer support groups for body feeding. Yeah. So just think about it, because when we're talking about waste reduction, when it comes to parenting, we can't exclude this from the conversation, because it is one of the top ways that we can make garbage. So if it's a choice that you can make and you're, you know, within a comfort level to feed your baby from your body, it would greatly reduce your baby's carbon footprint, not having to throw out formula containers.
And for those of you who are formula feeding, I did a blended model myself with my kids. There are ways to reduce that garbage as well. So formula in the beginning, you'll be recommended to use a pre-made liquid formula, which definitely comes with more packaging and containers. And the reason for that is that our newest infant babies are more susceptible to bacteria, and we don't want them to have anything that's not sterile. So mixing powder with water just adds chance of bacteria. That doesn't mean your baby needs to stay on that liquid formula for the whole time that they're drinking infant milk. So really pay attention to what your pediatrician or doctor is recommending for how long you need the liquid formula and when you can move on to the powdered formula, because that is definitely creating less garbage to use powdered formula. And boiled water brought to cooling room temperature. You don't need special bottled water to create formula. You don't need machines that will mix it. You literally can put it in a bottle and use your little man-made, human-made mixer. So, there's a lot of garbage that you can reduce if you are formula feeding. And also consider that not all formula companies are the same, and no-name brands are held to high standards, but are half the cost. So there's even ways that you can still be formula feeding and not spend a whole lot of money. The bigger the company and brand, the more they do marketing and promotions and free samples, which brings up your price. So store brands are still regulated by our food administrations that are very strict standards for infant feeding. Just like to say that you will get bigger quantities for cheaper amounts of money, and it's still very good product for your baby.
Yes, because they have to. They have to.
They can't mess around with them.
They can't mess around with that.
People like us in this work, we pay attention to baby formula recalls, and I haven't seen President's Choice recalled or Kirkland Farms, but I sure have seen big company brand names recalled more than I wish. So that's number 3.
Number 3, please consider body feeding. Last one. And this one also, just like the body feeding, people, it doesn't seem as obvious to be, a parent-friendly thing, but wearing your baby.
I love wearing babies.
I love wearing babies too. Why is this reduction, you ask? You're going to feel more mobile without a car. And like Vera said in the beginning, we're not telling you to forget your car, but we would love for you to feel like you don't have to drive everywhere. And if you don't have a car, don't feel like you need one to parent. I got 2 kids. Guess how many cars I have? 0. Guess how many driver's licenses I have? Also 0.
You can also have a driver's license but not a car. I have a driver's license but not a car. You could do so many different ways to do it. Do you see? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to. You could have a car and sometimes choose not to drive it.
Yeah, maybe you just want to go away on the weekends. Maybe if it's a rainy morning, you want to be able to get out fast. That's fine. But don't feel like you need a car to parent. Don't feel like you need to drive your kid to every appointment, every circle time. Hopefully we get those back one day. Because if you can wear your baby, guess what? Taking transit, so much easier. Let me tell you, you don't feel like a superhero until you go on a crowded bus with a baby on your chest instead of pushing a stroller.
So much easier, folks. It's so much easier.
You take up no space. People can offer you a seat.
You just walk up the stairs. You don't have to carry
You're not waiting for an elevator. Because that's a thing too. It's like your mobility is reduced when you're on wheels. Because unfortunately, the city, especially if you're in the city or if you're even outside the city, we're not perfectly accessible. Nowhere's perfectly accessible. And a stroller is not accessible. You're now relying on wheels to get around. And it's just not safe to bump strollers up and down the stairs. Right? That's opening up room. Whereas when you've got your baby tied to you right here, where are they going to go? They're nice and safe and protected. It's easier to regulate their temperature on a winter day. Have you ever tried pushing a stroller through the snow?
It's very difficult. Oh, you sweat inside your coat, and then you want to take the coat off, but it's too cold. You can't take the coat off.
You do you're almost flat trying to push. So guess what? Now you're isolated.
Can you pass me that carrier?
Show us how easy this is.
Look, so this is a structured carrier right here. You put it on like a backpack. I don't know if I could do this quickly enough. But the point is that once you have your baby strapped all nicely on your chest, you're in your own bubble too. So here, here's my baby all snug up here. So even in the cold, I can have a big blanket, or a big shawl that kind of covers us both from the wind, from the elements. If it's raining, I can have an umbrella that's covering us both. My hand is just here lovingly holding, but you're not actually holding your baby. So you've got your arms free to carry a bag home if you need. Mira used to wear a big brimmed sun hat so that the shade covered her baby as well. And in these times of, virus control, we don't really want people close up to our babies. So in the stroller, they feel a bit further down and it is harder to keep them warm. You need more blankets, but here you're just so in tune to what your baby needs because they're just right here with you, right? And you are more likely, as Mira says, to walk, enjoy your neighborhood, find the local parks and coffee shops. Even when your baby's too small to care to go down the slide, you will be out there socializing, which helps them to start socializing. And we just don't get that in a car. You don't get to walk by and say hello to your neighbors in a car.
No,
You don't get
to
your
stop
windows
and smell
down.
flowers.
You don't get to stop and smell flowers.
Nope. One of my daughter's first words was echinacea. It would not have been if we were in a car every day.
True story, true story. And if you do live in Toronto, how will you pick up the curbside shopping?
How?
If you're in the West End Toronto, where we live, you know that there's a lot of parents around. So there's all those little libraries. I mean, walking is the best. And walking with the baby in your vicinity will keep them asleep longer too. So you're just going to enjoy it.
Get more breaks.
Yeah.
But that's it. Those are 4 things. You were probably planning on doing some of them anyway, and now you know what a big impact they're going to have, and you can encourage your pregnant friends to do the same. And if you tried any one of these things, please be sure to tell your pregnant friends how much easier it was than you thought it was.
Yes, please brag on your social media. People don't want to brag about, hey, you know what? I eliminated wipes from my baby's shopping list. We use toilet paper, we use paper towel strips and a spritz bottle. Brag about it. People are like, what? I never thought that was possible. You'd be amazed how many people you will inspire just by telling them your success stories of how you've reduced even just one piece of garbage or one item that you used to buy on your shopping list. Just one less item. You'll have people months later telling you, wow, I did it too. Mm-hmm. I know, because that's what happens to us.
Because that's what happens to us all the time. Because
the
Vera and I
time.
love to talk about how easy these what may have seemed like daunting commitments end up being. No one ever regrets making a good environmental choice. No one ever looks back and says, oh man, all those cloth diapers that I used, I wish I had thrown out 10 diapers a day, right? Yeah, nobody looks back and says like, oh man, wearing my baby, getting all those extra snuggles, it's such a bummer. I should have put that kid in a stroller and walked them around.
Now it's possible.
Car seat.
It is possible they might go back and say like, oh, remember how many diapers we washed? That was a lot of poop. But if it's not that you're saying, it would be something else. Like, do you remember how many bags of diapers we threw out? Mm-hmm. That smelled so bad. Remember that time we forgot the bag and there's maggots all over it? I mean, you're going to have a disgusting story no matter what. It might as well also have an edge of, I did this much less harm to the world. And my baby is being raised as someone who knows it's possible, just little bits at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, the whole like leaving a better planet for our children and grandchildren. If you're having children, maybe hoping for grandchildren. I feel like all of us that are parents one day
it would be nice, you know,
it'd be nice. Just, but you know, try and picture what kind of planet, how many resources we want to leave for them. We don't want to take them all.
Yeah. Camp rules, leave it better than you found it.
Leave it better than you found it.
That's it.
That's it. And that's all. And we really are sisters.
We really are sisters. We really do bike. We're doulas on bikes. Thanks for watching. We would love to hear from you. Pop into our DMs, doulasonbikes@gmail.com. If you message us after watching this, we will respond to you with an email with a whole bunch of links and resources on where you can get started on, or wherever you are. Not saying that you're not started already, but we'll send you some links.
Mm-hmm. To make this easy stuff even easier.
Even easier, we can help you. All right. Thanks. Bye.